and play sweet. Men pay the moon to get fresh meat. Ale! Get out of your song, eh? And don't make the show too long. What I'm saying, welcome to...
Hello everyone, my name is Deva Syarwiki Ramadana and my student number is 215200046. On this occasion, I would like to show you my result of my observation about one of the literary works called Miss Saigon. Without waiting no longer, let's get started. Literary appreciation of Miss Saigon Broadway. Miss Saigon tells the story of Chris, an American soldier who falls in love with Kim, a young Vietnamese orphan who works as a barker and prostitute. When the city falls, the lovers are separated, and Chris eventually returns to the US. And years later, Chris returns to the Vietnam. When Kim and Chris meet together, they conceive a son, namely Bù Đòi. Bù Đòi, who were American children, were shy and left behind after the Vietnam War. Kim raised her son on her own, and after reunited years later, they must decide what the future left of all them. Because Kim has a son from Chris, and Chris married an American woman, namely Ellen. Miss Saigon is a sung-through musical based on Giacomo Puccini's opera, Madame Butterfly. Finding worldwide success with Les Miserables, the songwriting team of Claude Michael Sundberg and Alain Poupil. Sundberg allegedly found a photograph from the Vietnam War in a magazine one day, and the picture depicted a mother leaving her child at the departure gate at an air base to get on plane to the United States for a better life with the child ex-GI father. Sundberg thought that the mother's action showed an immense amount of sacrifice and led him back to the plot of Madame Butterfly. According to Delson and Nielsen 2009, literary appreciation produced the following things. There are 7 levels of it. The first level is pleasure and profit. Literary appreciation is a social experience. At the first level of literary appreciation, the audience must get the pleasure and profit when enjoy the literary works. Audience can feel the character, emotion, joy, and the atmosphere of the drama. In the drama Miss Saigon, the audience is brought to experience the main characters, namely Chris and Kim, when they fall in love during the Vietnam War. Audience feel pleasures when Chris and Kim fall in love, and felt sad when Chris brought his American wife home to Vietnam because Kim and her child had been waiting for Chris for a long time. Beautiful musicalization also adds a dramatic and pleasure for the audience while watching the drama. Besides of that, the moral value and the lesson from the literary work above also profit to the audience. Okay, and then the second level. The second level is about decoding. Literary is developed in the story Miss Saigon. Literacy development is created through the storyline, character development, and depiction of the setting atmosphere. For example, at the first part of introducing the Kim character, Kim is described as shy and close to everyone. However, after Kim met Chris, she become more confident because of Chris' treatment of her family, and until finally, Kim fell in love with Chris. The music in each part also adds depth to the depiction of the character's feeling. The audience in this case is required to understand their literacy development through these things. However, this is not difficult because the clear plot and the music that supports emotions make it easy to the audience to understand literacy development. And then the number 3. The number 3 is about lose yourself. It means that literacy work becomes means of escaping. In literacy works, the audience must be able to get the impression of self-escaping. In Miss Saigon, the audiences were brought into the character's feeling and make them escape from their reality. For example, when Kim was betrayed by Chris by taking his American wife to Vietnam, Kim's crying and disappointing the character made the audience feel it too. The audience sets feel is proof that the literary work escaped the audience from the actual reality and get into the story brought by the characters. Number 4. Find yourself. Discovering identity. In Miss Saigon, Kim as the main character searches for her identity. It started with the feelings of fear and shy because she lost her parents because of the Vietnam War. Then Kim became a prostitute woman in a bar and used by American soldier, and then finally Kim was able to find her true love, namely Chris. But it didn't stop there. Apparently Kim was betrayed by Chris by an American woman, namely Ellen. At the end of the drama, Kim was so stressful and feels so unworthy. In finding this identity, it is not difficult for the audience to feel it because love betrayal is something that often happens around us. Watching this drama also gave us more awareness about falling in love with someone new, especially someone who far away and strange. Number 5, level 5, venture beyond self, going beyond me, assessing the world around them. The audience in the Miss Saigon story is asked to appreciate the role of each player, even though it doesn't necessarily match their view of the decision of the characters in the story. For example, when Kim was initially afraid of accepting Chris' offer of prostitution, maybe the audience have an idea. For she shouldn't believe Chris she should have thought about the consequence of being close to an American soldier who could return to his country at any time. However, in reality, Kim easily trusts the new people whose trustworthiness should be questioned. Moreover, their parents were killed during the Vietnam Wars against the American army itself. The point is, audience are liberated to find the best way to finish the film. And then number 6. The number 6 is variety in reading. Reads widely and discuss experiences with peers. In watching and reading the story of Miss Saigon, audience are free to interpret the storyline, characters, moral values, suitability of the setting, and etc. In this way, the audience can discuss the differences in the interpretation into a conclusion that is useful for the audience. This variety of reading appears because each person's background knowledge is different, so it will produce different interpretation too. For example, some people think Kim is a good woman who was betrayed by Batman. However, there are also some people think that Kim is a stupid woman because she doesn't think about the causes and the consequences of her action. The audience will have a variety of different views in reading the meaning of each scene and the whole story. And then number 7, aesthetic purposes. Avid reader appreciates the artistic value of reading. For the aesthetic purpose, Miss Saigon really fulfills the goal of beauty, of aesthetic things in creating literary works. How could it not be? In the performance, the stage is built so real and in detail. The stage was created using three-dimensional building supported by very detailed furniture, which could represent situation and condition of the place at the time. It makes the audience feel brought in the real situation of the drama. Not only that, the use of very professional lighting make audience eyes always fixed and focused on the stage. And then we move the other part about the following is the description of musical Miss Saigon that were analysis. The first thing is the story plot. So the Miss Saigon tells the story of Chris, an American male soldier who falls in love with Kim, a young Vietnamese orphan who works as a bar girl and prostitute. When the city falls, the lovers are separated and Chris eventually returns to the US, and years later, Chris returns to the Bangkok with American wife Ellen in Vietnam. When Kim and Chris meet together, they conceive a son named Budoy. Budoy were American children were shy and left behind after Vietnam War. Kim raised her son on her own, and what the future life of all of them should be decided by Chris, because Kim has son from Chris and Chris married American woman. The plot used in this drama is progressive close plot. Progressive, it means the plot of the story is move forward, and close it means that the story is done clearly so the reader and the audiences cannot interpret the ending by their own. The plot starts from Kim's trauma after lost their family until finally she is betrayed by Chris after waiting Chris back from America for 3 years. The actors. The first actor is of course the main character, Kim, a 17-year-old Vietnamese orphan who's taken in by the engineer to work at his nightclub, where she eventually meets the love of her life, Chris. Kim is portrayed as a very innocent woman who then falls in love with American soldier who later betrays her. And then number 2 is the engineer, Tran Van Dien, the sleazy businessman that employs Kim for his dirty nightclub dreamline. He longs to leave the greasy slums of Vietnam and make it big in America. He is person who brought Kim into prostitution world. He is described as someone who is greedy for money, and he is good at taking advantage from other people to make money. Chris Scott, a young American Marine who was stationed in Saigon. He eventually falls in love with Kim after a chance encounter with her at the nightclub. Chris is described as a man who is romantic and sweet, but he is unfaithful and easily betrays others. Doi, Kim's cousin, who was intended to marry her after their parents made a childhood marriage promise for the two of them. He eventually becomes an officer for the country's communist government. Doi is described as a fierce and coercive person, as evidenced by the scene where he forced Kim to marry him. After that, Kim showed that she already had children, so Doi finally wants to leave. Ellen, Chris' wife, whom he subsequently married following his return to America. She is kind woman but locked in hard situation. She don't know that Chris has a child and woman in Vietnam. Gigi Van Tran, one of the engineer's most popular strippers, who crowned Miss Saigon at the start of the show. She is very much hates her job and her current life and wishes to escape to America to start new life. Tam, or Budoy, the 2-year-old son of Kim and Chris, who is born shortly after his father leaves America. Stage setting. The setting place used in the story is generally in the Saigon City, Vietnam, precisely at Dreamland Bar, which is a place of prostitution that commonly visited by American soldiers. The setting is depicted very clearly using 3-dimensional items such as rooms that can be moved, sliding mattress, even the three-dimensional building of the Dreamland Bar is also depicted very well, so the audience can easily guess the setting of the place used. Besides of that, the use of lighting is very well applied in different situations. Overall, the stage settings in Miss Saigon are stunning and very helpful to visualize the audience thought. And then we move to the costume. The costumes used in the Miss Saigon are very appropriate for that era. American soldiers wore army green uniforms and female prostitutes wore bikinis to show the original atmosphere of the Dreamland Bar at the time. Apart from that, there is also development of the costumes used in the drama, namely the use of the Miss Universe crown and sash used by Gigi as the most famous woman prostitute in the Dreamland Bar. And then we are going to the moral value. The first moral value is that war is a destructive thing. The existence of war caused many people to experiencing trauma. For example, Kim's character, who became a fearful person because he lost his family during the war. Besides of that, there is a character, Gigi, who really wants to get out of the Vietnam to the America because she is very depressed working as a prostitute in a bar filled with invaders, American soldiers. And the last moral value is that every unwise decision will have a bad impact on other people. For example, Chris' decision to leave Kim in Vietnam caused Kim to suffer a lot a lot of emotional pain because she had to raise her child alone in Vietnam. Beside of that, Chris' infidelity finally made Chris marry Ellen in America, which made Ellen feel disappointed because she felt she had been lied to. And then the last one is about the conclusion. In conclusion, Miss Saigon literary works is an extraordinary work that has a lot of things we can learn from it. This work is interesting not only because it tells the story about the love story of prostitution woman with American soldier during Vietnam War, but also the musicalization of a musician who was inspired by photos of the Vietnam War incident also adds a dramatic impression to the story because the musician expressed his emotion when creating the song. The extraordinary good stage setting also adds value to this literary work, especially for me personally. I think that's all from me. Thank you for watching my video and see you in the next occasion. See you, bye.